Chapter 8. The Disappearance of Levit. Magical fruits, beasts, lakes of illusion, all had already been left behind, and our goal, the kingdom of Kali, was already before us, waiting patiently for us to pass through its doors and culminate our mission. The main thing was to get to the Queen's palace as quickly as possible, so as to be able to offer her the thirst remedy before it was too late. Kali's entrance was exactly the same as that of our Prima Kingdom. Only the sign that indicated her name made the difference. However, when we delved a little deeper, we realized how what had once been a habitable zone had become a pile of dry straw and cracked earth because of the drought. I was overcome by a rare sensation of having been here before, perhaps in dreams. Everything seemed to be tremendously familiar to me. It's as if we've returned to our home and it's become this uninhabitable place. The background mountains, the smell of the earth, and even the color of the sky made it familiar, but with a small but important nuance. There that in our kingdom nature and life lived. Here in Kali, not even remnants of nature were left, or alive even less. This made me lose hope. Perhaps despite all our efforts, we had arrived too late. On the other hand, this thought that we all secretly harbored, but that we didn't want to express, especially so as to not worry the little ones, didn't make us give up. At least, if we could only rescue Queen Kali from her insanity, the journey would have been worth it. On our way, we found numerous deep holes made in earth, so we imagined they would have been dug to search for some water. My father took Sam and put him on his shoulders, and my mother did the same on hers with little Levit. Some of these holes were very deep, and as shorter the length of the legs were, the greater the danger was. We walked like this for several miles, until it began to get dark. Then we decided to stop to avoid the danger of falling down due to the lack of light. We would sleep a bit on a piece of firm ground until the dawn light indicated again that we could continue. The next morning concern took hold of all of us. Little Levit had disappeared. We began to search the surroundings, looking one by one in each of the skin holes in the earth, but we weren't successful. Nor did he respond to our innumerable calls that were echoed in the midst of the esplanade. My father remained serene, but didn't rest for a minute in search for the little one. However, after a while, my mother broke into tears and groans of pain. I remembered that I was very afraid. I'd never seen her in such a state. Had she lost hope, by the way? Sam looked at me with eyes full of tears, and I hugged him tightly. I'm not really sure if it was comfort him or it was so that his arms gave comfort to me. My father was disoriented. His qualities as an extraordinary guide had diminished. It was as if when one of the pieces was missing from the board, the game was already lost. Then I became aware of why we had been successful until now in our adventures. Never, come what may, we separated. The love that united us had been our main sustenance, and apparently the only thing we really needed. We are all unrecognizable without little Levitt. The meaning of his name came to mind, the one who unites, and I thought about the paradoxes of destiny that had now separated us. We decided to sit down and think about what to do, or rather what a 5-year-old kid would do in a place like this. We intended to find out what had gone through my brother's mind and where he could have gone. The funny thing is that despite the rarity of some of the terrain that we had crossed before, I hadn't felt thirsty throughout the entire trip. But now, and for the first time, this need was present in my mouth and throat. My father looked in his backpack for the sketch of the field that he'd drawn the day before, and realized that it had disappeared, as well as the mango that he kept for Levitt, because he knew it was his favorite fruit. This made us suddenly regain hope. If the map and his ration of fruit were missing, it could only mean one thing. Little Levitt had started the trip to the palace alone, surely prisoner of an innocent game. My father had taught us from a very young age to interpret his maps that he made for us whenever we had to take a new path. This meant that all was not lost. We had to start the march to the palace as quickly as possible. Now we had 2 missions to meet: help the queen and find little Levitt.